Ren is a jobless, ugly orphan who runs away with his freaky sister from their abusive father. However, everything changes when they become butlers in a rich mansion, and he gets to clap all the rich girls' cheeks. Before that, on a train, Ren and his sister Nohado run away from their problematic and abusive home to find work in the city and get their money up. Ren and Nohado promise to live happily and fulfill the sweet Alabama sibling's dream. They'd finally arrive at the city of Nanahama and get straight to business to look for work. Nohado tells him not to cheat on her, pulls out a camera from her melons, and takes a picture of Ren flexing his noodle arms. Later in Chinatown, Ren tries his luck getting jobs at different places, but they all reject him. Then, Ren stumbles on television, playing a famous female music conductor, Shinra, and he wishes that he could be her pet and live in her house. At night, Mihado is waiting for Ren when suddenly a creepy old guy tries to show her his Lego collections. But Mihado tells him that she prefers her brother's card collection. Suddenly, Ren pops up and tells the creepy guy that Lego is for wimps and cards are for men, and the creepy guy runs away. Then, as they both failed to land a job, they went to a spa for a change of scenery. Afterward, they illegally build a campsite, and Mihado pulls out instant ramen from her hoo-ha and spinach from her melons that even David Blaine would be amazed by. That night, Ren dreams about his abusive drunk father and promises himself to keep her sister safe and happy. The day after, Ren is still looking for a job, and suddenly a blonde girl in her mini R2D2 pass by him. The blonde girl's name is Miyu, and the robot is De Niro. Miyu starts being narcissistic and hopes that people will look at her beautiful toes and armpits and fall for her. Suddenly, she faints due to heat stroke, and De Niro can't do anything to help her. Ren rushes over and lifts her like a princess, and Miyu starts blushing to his rise. Ren calls De Niro a Walmart trash bin, and De Niro starts cussing him out. Then, Mihado shows up and helps her too. Ren goes to his knees and carries Miyu on his back to feel her mini softies, with De Niro guiding them back to Miyu's house, the Kwanji residence. They arrive at the house and can't believe how big the house is, and quickly the servants come to Miyu's aid. De Niro explains to the servants what happened, and Mihado sees her chance to get a job. Later, Ren and Mihado are eating dinner at the mansion. While the maids bring them more food, suddenly Ren starts beefing with the maid, Benu, as he thinks that Mihado is a better cook than her. The main butler, Tajiri, uses his $1 million smile to calm them, but Ren insists on starting fighting Benu. Tajiri kicks Ren down and teaches him manners by delivering a purple Kamehameha to Ren and flies him out of the mansion and to the fountain. Ren steps out of the fountain and straight to the feet of Shinra and falls in love at first sight. He introduces himself to her, and she looks at him like he's a bug. Then, Tajiri shows up and Ren tries to attack him but fails and does a Rock Lee, getting slept while standing. Later, Miyu and Tajiri interrogate Mihado, and Mihado sees her chance to impress and succeed. Then, Ren wakes up and Shinra tells them that they will start working there, but they have to go through a probation phase to see if they are qualified for the job, and if they fail, they will be fired. They start introducing themselves, and Shinra tells them they have to call her master or mommy, as she is the superior older sister.
Man, shut your ass up!
Then, Miyu introduces herself as the narcissistic cute middle child, and lastly, Yumi introduces herself as the youngest sister that no one gives a shit about. After that is the servant's turn. Benu introduces herself as the main maid, and Natos is the dope security girl with the eye patch. Natos tells Benu that she's hungry, and Benu throws a beef jerky outside the house, and Natos catches it like a dog. Then, Shiharu, who is a cross-dressing cleaning service. And lastly, to introduce themselves is the Colonel Tajiri, who encourages them to do their best. Later, Ren has a wet dream of his naked sister, Mihado saving him from falling. But Benu shows up and attacks them and kidnaps his sister while riding a flying frying pan. Then Tajiri emerges from the ground like Godzilla, while carrying Shinra and her sisters that are humping her leg, and Tajiri blows everything up. Suddenly, Ren wakes up from the dream and Benu tells him to get ready. Later, Tajiri gathers all his butlers and maids and addresses Ren and Miyu's role on the job, as Miyu will be another maid, while Ren will be a butler. Later, Ren goes to the mansion's garden and helps Natos at her job. Then Yumi shows up to greet them before going to school, but she leaves her lunch and Natos grabs it for her. Suddenly, Benu eats Ren out of existence to greet Shinra before she leaves, and Ren watches to learn their every movement. Later, Ren asks to help Shiharu in cleaning, and she starts crying tears of joy that someone remembers his unimportant existence. While cleaning, Miyu stares down Ren, imagining him cleaning while going commando, and tells him that he can clean her corners anytime. At dinner, they all eat together as the servants are considered as more than pets, but less than a family, and afterward, Tajiri tells them stories of his past as a soldier. Ren walks outside and spends his alone time remembering his horrible memories of his abusive father while his hands start shaking. Later, to prepare for bed, Benu takes a bath together with Shinra, while Netos helps Yumi to fall asleep, and Maya reads a romance manga for her dreams. In his room, Ren starts to get a cold, and Dehado spends some sisterly love and lets Ren sleep on her melons. The next day, Ren continues his trial in the mansion and watches Shinra fulfill his sister-loving kink, licking cream off Miyu's face and feeding her some more before Dehado stops the nonsense from going non-PG. Miyu warns Ren and Dehado to be careful around Shinra and her desire to lick cute people's toes. At night, Miyu shows up topless to tease Ren and his innocent sausage, and he folds under pressure. Later, Ren meets Netos on the veranda and Netos rizzes him up, but Ren declines as he already has his sister to give him pleasure. The next day, day 3, Ren continues his chaotic day at his job in the mansion. Then fast forward to day 6. Maito feels jealous to be separated from loving his cute brother, while Ren is taking Yumi to school and runs into a weird masochist who likes getting run over Anastasia. Ren looks at her, and she suddenly starts making pleasant happy noises out of nowhere. At the school, they meet Yumi's friend, Keiko, while Anastasia is on her knees making questionable noises. Suddenly, another student named Ajar runs towards them and starts beating the shit out of his butler Kojiro, while Anastasia is still doing some weird shit. Yumi introduces Ren to Ajia, and she asks him about his specialty. Then Ren pulls out his big guns and starts cleaning her shoes to show his skills and rizzes her up. Aja gives him some candy, and later Ren and Netos start eating them, while Kojiro tells them to be grateful. Ren reads Kojiro like an open book and accuses him of loving his master. Ajia and Kojiro start getting embarrassed, and Donkey Kong punches Ren to the ground. At night, Tajiri and Shiharu congratulate Ren for being close to getting hired. On the final day, Ren wakes up and starts laughing out of confidence. Then Yumi's friends, Anastasia and Ajia, come to visit, with Ajia needing to save Ren from Anastasia's degeneracy. They are looking for a missing yellow ferret, and whoever finds it will get their school's club a higher budget. On his way to the mansion, Ren finds the yellow ferret and starts chasing it. The ferret hides behind an expensive vase and bites his hand. Then, Ren stupidly throws the expensive vase to catch the ferret. Later, the mansion scolds Ren for his dumb action, as he might not get the job after all. He starts thinking that he might be the same as his abusive father, and then Miyu and Netos try to cheer him up, and Miyu slaps him to stop being a bitch. Ren continues his work through the night, with everyone sleeping to prove a point to the mansion. The next day, Shinra gives out the results and determines that they passed, and shall be workers in the mansion. Shinra tells him that he is free to choose to be one of the 3 sisters' personal butler, and Shinra asks him to be hers for the time being. Benu is angry at the decision. Afterward, Ren accidentally walks in on Benu while she's wearing her underwear, and to stop her from attacking him, he does a kaneki and tells her to count the prime numbers, but it doesn't work as she punches him anyway. Later, Ren is taking a drive with Tajiri on the wheels when a car drives recklessly passes them. Tejiki sees it as a challenge and races the reckless car in a 2008 CGI racing animation, and eventually wins the race. They arrive at the destination to pick up Shinra, and Tajiri tells Ren to go in and watch Shinra in action. At first, Ren doubts her, but then his heart skips a beat watching Shinra conducting an orchestra, and realizes how beautiful she is. Some of the orchestra members ask Shinra to be their baby daddy, but she refuses. Later, after the practice, Shinra walks out with a drink in her hands and gives it to Ren as she is done with it. Ren sees his chance to taste her juices and drinks from the same can, swallowing her sweet juice. Shinra asks him to tell her what her juices taste like, and he tells her that they taste like the best liquid his lips have ever tasted. At the mansion, Ren walks like a zombie after the drink, but suddenly Shinra's bell rings, and he quickly has to go and serve his master. He enters Shinra's room and sees her in her bra. Then she lays on her bed and invites him for his reward, which is to give her a massage. Ren blushes seeing her assets and almost lays the pipe, but suddenly Miyu calls for him in the kitchen. Ren walks in to see Benu going crazy, plucking a chicken. Miyu tells him to be careful of Shinra's temptation, and to tell her if he ever wants to change masters. On the veranda, Ren starts thinking about Shinra. Then Natos shows up topless to comfort him, but Ren runs away to the bathroom and runs into Benu, who is in her underwear, and she beats him up. The next day, Ren goes to wake up Shinra and walks in on her having a fun Alabama time with her sister Miyu, showing Miyu the time of her life. Later, after the humping, Miyu weakly falls into Ren's arms, and then Shinra comes for a second round, but Miyu refuses and challenges her to a Quanji flag. Shinra, Miyu, and Yumi all participate in it, where master and servant will be put as a team. The goal is to steal the other team's flag from their base and bring it back to their base. The winner gets to decide the other master's forfeit, and Miyu plans to make Shinra a maid for the day, while Shinra wants to violate Miyu in every way imaginable. The game starts with Tajiri as the referee, and Shinra's team plans to go on the attack. On the other side, Miyu turns De Niro into a Gundam and flies away. Meanwhile, Yumi plans to make herself king and have everyone bow and French kiss her feet. Both Chihiro and Natos are fired up to win the game for Yumi and scatter. Suddenly, Shinra and her team consisting of Ren and Benu attack Yumi's base and take the flag from her. Natos feels a disturbance in the force and rushes back to see Yumi trying to get the flag back. Team Shinra runs away with Natos chasing them, and Shinra assigns Ren to hold Natos back. In their fight, Natos knees Ren in the stomach to drop him, but he refuses to give up and uses his special move of rizzing her, and calls her his sister to buy some time, and it works as Natos starts tearing up. Team Shinra successfully secured one flag, and is now aiming for Miyu's flag. On their way there, Shinra and Benu run into Mihado, and she challenges them to a fight, where Benu answers her challenge. Benu starts becoming Mike Tyson and attacks Mihado, but Mihado runs away and Benu chases her. Shinra feels that something is fishy, and Miyu is planning something suspicious, and Miyu deploys De Niro to finish her plans. Meanwhile, Mihado summons a rope, but suddenly a flock of birds distracts Benu and Mihado ties her up. Then, Shinra comes in to save Benu with Mihado in her way. Suddenly, Ren pops up and takes Miyu's flag, and brings it to Shinra's base. There, De Niro is waiting for him with speakers and microphones, and starts singing Taylor Swift, which deafens him. Then De Niro bites his ankles and drops him. Mena shows up and tells him to give her flag back, but he refuses. Then she flashes his panties and Ren drops the flag. Then, Miyu tries to take her flag back, but can't as it is too heavy. Ren crawls back to his base with Miyu and De Niro, trying to stop him, and he successfully captures Miyu's flag, thus winning the game for Team Shinra. Later, Tajiri announces the winner, and Shinra already has her hands all over Miyu for their night. Meanwhile, Natos has forgotten that she left Chihiro in the forest by himself. Then Team Shinra celebrates their victory, and Shinra asks Ren to suck her fingers to prove his loyalty, but Benu stops him. Later, Ren accidentally walks into Tajiri in the bathroom with his PG pixelated body, and he tells Ren to take off his clothes, show his willy, and wash his back. The next day, Yui is helping Natos take care of the garden. Then, Shinra and Ren walk in. Shinra praises Yumi for her great work, but ignores her afterward, which makes Yumi feel sad as she desires her attention. Later, Ren is serving tea to Miyu, but the tea is too hot it burns her tongue. Miyu starts chasing him with a whip and hits him with it, and Ren feels a new pleasurable sensation from it. Afterward, Mihado feeds Miyu some ice cream to numb her pain, while Tajiri and Shinra scold Ren for serving hot tea. Tajiri suggests taking Ren to a training camp on an island, and Chihiro listens in to their conversation. Mihado starts crying about being separated from Ren, but Shinra suggests that all of them go to the island together. On the island, Ren expects to see some girls but is stuck with Chihiro instead. Suddenly, Yumi shows up wearing her swimsuit, showing her assets. Then Shinra teases Ren with her lovely badonkadonk and tells him to start blowing floaties. After all the girls tease him, Mihado pulls up, shaking her assets to her brother, and asks his opinion of her swimsuit. Ren says it's good, but leaves her immediately, causing Mihado to get jealous. Then Miyu shows up wearing nothing but a towel, demanding Shinra to return her swimsuit, but Shinra doesn't care and pulls the towel off. Everyone closes their eyes, but it turns out that she's wearing a high school swimsuit, and Shinra tells all of the servants to have fun, so she can have some fun with Miyu. Hearing that, Ren is about to start swimming, but Tajiri pulls his legs from below and tells him to come with him for his training. They go deep into the jungle to the Butler's den, the hyperbolic time chamber for Butlers to train in. Tajiri tells Ren to sign a contract which he signs to start the training. They go into the den and meet Kojiro, who is training for his master Ajira, pulling weights while serving her tea, but Kojiro fails and Ajia electrocutes him. Tajiri asks Aja if Ren could join the training, and she agrees. Tajiri starts by teaching Ren how to make a Michelin star tea, but Ren manages to mess it up and Tajiri eats him. Ren wants to quit the training, but Tajiri shows him the contract that he signed, showing that Ren is Tajiri's bitch for the day, and he has to continue his training under Tajiri's guidance to become the best butler in the world. Meanwhile, the girls are enjoying their holiday. Yumi starts telling horror stories, while Shinra and Miyu get drunk and make sweet Alabama love later. Meanwhile, Benu and Natos spend their time in Las Vegas, where Benu keeps gambling and winning, while a creepy sugar daddy notices Benu. Back on the island, Ren starts training under Ajia as Kojiro is knocked out, and Aja reminds Ren of Shinra in her demeanor. At the casino, Benu loses all of her money, and the sugar daddy offers to give her money to gamble more. At the villa, Ren sneaks in and meets Yumi, who serves him tea and goes back to bed. Then Mayu shows up drunk and naked and invites Ren to take a bath with her before puking all over him. Later, Ren is about to tuck in Shinra, who just won a few rounds with Miyu, and Shinra asks Ren to slap her with his willy and go for more rounds, but she sleeps with a doll instead. Later, Ren chills alone with his tea, and Mahado comes in and cheers him up. The next day, Ren goes back to the den, and Tajiri tells him to make some tea. He serves tea to both Tajiri and Ajia, and the tea astonishes Ajia, as it is a tea made out of love. Tajiri tells Ren that he has passed the entry level, and Ren is excited to make tea for his masters. Later, Ren serves his world-class tea to both Shinra and Miyu and gets praise from both of them, while Yumi is in the corner alone without Natos, who usually is by her side. Meanwhile, the sugar daddy is demanding for Benu and Natos to pay him back with their body. Natos tries to fight back, but Benu accepts her fate. Later, Benu and Natos start working in the casino while wearing bunny costumes. The sugar daddy tells them to strip and pole dance for the customers. Shinra and the others show up to get them back, but the sugar daddy denies it and forces Benu to perform. Natos and Ren go for the attack, but Tajiri stops them for a calmer approach. Later, Benu and Natos are locked in a cage, while Tajiri gambles for their freedom. The casino cheats them, but Tajiri uses the force to win the bet and the girls' freedom. The next day, they spend their day at the beach, and Ren shows the result of his training to Shinra and impresses her. Then, Miyu asks Ren to put some lotion on her, and he starts using his hands and spreading lotion while feeling her melons in the process. Maeda watches jealously and De Niro chases Ren down to get him away from Miyu. Ren jumps into the ocean and starts scaring Yumi. The other girls just watch over them while they are topless. In the distance, Benu notices a little girl watching them. In the market, while they are shopping, the same little girl tries to pickpocket Ren, but Benu stops her. Instead of getting angry, Benu gives the little girl fruit and tells her to get a job. At lunch, Ren tells Tajiri what happened, and then Tajiri tells him of Benu's past when they found her as a kid. Tajiri found her on the streets, in the slums where her parents passed away early, and her uncle sold her to restaurants as labor. Then the Kwanji family scouted her and took her in as a maid. Later, Ren accompanies Benu to the market and sees a thug harassing the little girl. Benu tries to save her, but then more thugs show up and Benu handles them easily. The thugs threaten to hurt the little girl and ask Benu to trade places with her, and Benu accepts their offer. Afterward, the thugs brought them to a basement and Benu started arguing with Ren for his stupidity for not finding help in front of the thugs. Then Ren and Benu start roasting the thugs, calling them limp willy bitches who can't get any hoes, and the thugs start beating up Ren. While Mahado feels a disturbance in the force, at night, the thugs leave them alone after getting tired from beating Ren, and Ren tells her that he did it for her safety and that she's not alone anymore. Back in the villa, the little girl reports back to the group, and they aim to save them. Back in the basement, Ren and Benu share a moment, and Benu tells him about her rough childhood having to survive as a kid learning how to fight, cook, and read from a newspaper. Eventually, the restaurant where she works closed down, and she was abandoned alone until Tajiri came and saved her from the rain. Tajiri brought Benu into his hotel room, where Benu tried to steal his wallet but got caught. Then, Tajiri asked her to tell her story and afterward asked her to cook him something. Her cooking ended up impressing Tajiri, and got her a job at the Kwanji mansion. Back in the basement, Benu uses her strength to get free from the ropes, while Ren slowly fades after getting beaten up. Meanwhile, Shinra and the others infiltrate the thugs' base, and one by one, they attack the thugs, returning the favor for kidnapping their friends. They finally locate the basement and free Benu and Ren from their confinement. After the fight, they walk back home and Benu apologizes to Shinra for causing trouble, and Shinra tells her that she will punish her all night. Then, they meet the little kid who notified Shinra and the others, and they offer the kid to work for them. Afterward, they wear their yukata and watch the fireworks together, with Ren accidentally walking into Benu in her underwear. Back at the mansion, Yumi starts going light yagami and writes a plan on her death note while eating chips. The next day, Ren is sweeping outside the mansion when Yumi's friends, Keiko and Anastasia, show up to pick up Yumi. Anastasia starts tweaking and makes happy noises on the floor before Keiko stops her from flooding the floor. Ren and Netos notice that Yumi clumsily forgot to wear her panties and stop her from going commando. Netos tells Ren that she feels worried that Yumi is not confident in her unique traits and is often forgotten by the others, but Ren tells her that he will help Yumi solve her issues. Suddenly, Benu tries to run after Yumi and tells Ren and Netos that her lunch is swapped with Shinra's, and Netos quickly brings her lunch to her. Later at night, Yumi falls asleep writing her death note, and Ren walks in and sees it. It reads his Yumi note and it starts glowing, as it is where Yumi writes down her degenerate fantasies. Ren reads what's in the book where the city is under attack by a hip bear, and the bear is about to stop Benu, but Shinra eats the bear and saves her. Then Yumi and Miyu come in, and Yumi starts glowing. Then the bear gets up and Shinra attacks him again, but it does nothing. Miyu attacks the bear using a cutter, but the bear eats her out of commission. Yumi stands as the last hope against the bear and starts transforming into a Walmart Sailor Moon. On her last breath, Miyu acknowledges that Yumi is the best and most unique of them all, and that she's their last hope. Then, Yumi launches an attack that transitions to a random toy commercial, while Ren continues to read the book. Yumi lifts her stick, and the bear starts pleading for mercy and offers her money, but Yumi doesn't care and attacks anyway, and explodes the whole planet with her attack, and her sisters start praising her and wish to be her. Ren has enough of Yumi's delusions, but Yumi wakes up and Ren encourages Yumi to not be a dumb rock and to find her personality. The next day, Ren tells everyone that they should help Yumi find her personality. Then Mihato advises her to act cuter, and Benu throws shade at Mihato. Mihato doesn't let it slide and shows her freaky side, which impresses Benu. Miva tries to give her another example but fails as she looks like an imbecile instead. Then they ask Yumi to act like a delinquent, and the girls give her an example of what gangsters look like. But she can't do it, and sounds like a cute lolly instead, but Benu tells her that Miyu is the lolly one. Maina feels offended and tells Mihato to teach Benu a lesson, and Mihato uses her secret jutsu and erases Benu from existence. Then, Shinra gives her input to wear the PE uniform all the time, but Yumi imagines that her charms are nowhere near Shinra's while wearing the uniform and starts weeping. They keep giving her input, but Shinra just manages to do it better than Yumi, causing her to cry even more and run away. Miyu scolds Shinra for stealing her sister's spotlight, but Shinra tells them that Yumi has to find her own way. Yumi sits alone outside, then Chiharu comes and tells her that he was there all this time and he noticed her, but Yumi tells him that she doesn't know who the hell he is, and they both start crying. At night, Netos and Ren cheer up Yumi, and Ren tells her that she is charming in her own way, and her charms make him want to lick her feet and serve her as her butler. Yumi calms down and tells them that there is no use in panicking, and to imagine the sun and imagine the power and size of it being way higher than her problems. Yumi asks Netos to always be by her side, and they start hugging each other with Ren watching happily and leaving them. But Yumi suddenly kisses his cheek as his prize. Yumi takes pride in taking the initiative, but then Netos steps in and kisses his cheek as well as her sign to thank him. Later, Shinra tells Benu that there will be another member joining the Kwanji residence. The next morning, Ren tries to wake up Shinra, but she pulls into her chest and starts violating him, thinking that he is Miyu, while Benu is watching them from the door. Then, Shinra licks her finger in a messed up animation. As she finishes eating, Netos feels an intruder as helicopters land on their residence. Cars and soldiers start rolling into the residence, and they line up in front of Colonel Tajiri while waiting for the guests. Then the guest rolls in, and it's Aegea with her Harry Potter scar. She orders her soldiers to create a custom-made room for her to live in. Ren and Benu demand an explanation, and Tajiri explains that Aegea's slave Kojiro got into an accident while training at a waterfall when he was turning Super Saiyan and lost his focus seeing Aegea's panties, and Aegea kicks him to a stream. It turns out that Aegea's daddy sends her here to teach her self-restraint, while Benu and the others start objecting to her stay, but quickly change their mind when Aegea bribes them with various gifts. For Shinra, Aegea got her some pandas and Shinra tells her to stay as long as she likes. Meanwhile, Yumi tells Aegea she will not fall to her bribes, but Aegea brings out the One Direction to sing for her and shuts her up. After receiving the gifts, everyone leaves and Aegea wants Ren to replace Kojiro to be her personal butler during her stay. Shinra approves it as she is distracted by the endangered pandas and sees Ren as lower than pandas. Later, Ren goes to his knees and starts making tea for Aegea, but she beats him up for failing. Meanwhile, the rest of the house is enjoying their gifts and not caring about Ren's well-being. After taking a beating, Ren serves her another tea, and this time he passes her grades and she rewards him with a knuckle sandwich. Outside the mansion, a couple of intruders are stalking the house, aiming to attack Aegea. The next day, Ren accidentally sees Aegea in her underwear, and she pokes his eye to blind him. Then, Aegea jumps out the window. Ren follows her to start their training, and he lands horribly. Then they begin training punches and Aegea shows him how to punch like a man by punching Ren directly. Ren tries to hit her back, but she counters easily. Later, Minato is tending to Ren's wound, and he starts remembering the abuse from his father. Then Minato hugs him on her melons to calm him down. In the following days, they start running across the nation like Forrest Gump, and even help an elderly lady crossing the street. Aegea tells him that she respects elders for their contribution to society in the past. Ren asks her what her family does, and she answers that her family is rich as shit selling steel for munitions. Ren calls her cute, and she tries to hit him, but he dodges and rizzes her up, saying that her hands are too beautiful for violence. Aegea starts blushing and throws him to the ground, not being able to take Ren's godly rizz. Later, Tajiri leaves the house and tells Mentos that she is in charge, while the two intruders hide in the shadows. In the mansion, Aegea is taking a bath while having naughty thoughts about Ren, while the intruders are creeping into the mansion and see Natos recharging her chakra. Aegea feels the intruders' presence and realizes that she is their target, so she jumps out the window to get them. Ren notices her disappearance and sees her running wearing nothing but a towel. Ren runs after her and Natos tries to stop her, but fails as Aegea continues her run to fight the intruders. Outside the gate, the intruders are waiting for Aegea with a poisoned knife, but Aegea easily defeats them. Ren catches on just to see Aegea's towel start falling, and she kicks him to the moon. Then, Aegea tells him that the intruders are assassins sent by rival companies to take her out. Suddenly, one of the assassins tries to tranquilize Aegea, and Ren jumps in front of it. But Aegea manages to catch the needle with her bare hands and throws it back at the assassin, sending him to sleep. Later, Natos ties up the assassins, while Aegea walks back with Ren. She tells Ren that she is sorry for involving him in the mess and that he should stop being her butler. Ren tells her that she should not be facing this kind of danger. His sentiment touches Aegea, and she tells him to kiss her hand as a sign of his loyalty. Aegea feels unsatisfied and pulls him for a kiss on the lips. While Minato watches in shock, Ren starts crying because it was his first kiss, but Aegea starts blushing because it was hers too, and she runs away. Meanwhile, Minato feels jealous seeing her brother kissing another woman, and Miyu comes and comforts Minato from her sadness. The next day, Miyu notices that the atmosphere has changed with Aegea's arrival, and her presence changing the status quo. Miyu wants to do something about it. Meanwhile, Kojiro is determined to get back to Aegea, while nurses swarm him, wanting to taste his willy. In the mansion, Miyu goes to Shinra and asks her to do something about Aegea's overstaying her welcome, but Shinra feels comfortable inappropriately sleeping with her pandas. Shinra starts teasing Miyu for missing having her tongue sucked, but Miyu storms out, telling Shinra to get her shit together. Later, Kojiro welcomes back Aegea and asks her to come back, but Aegea is not interested and rather stay with Ren in the Quanji residence. Kojiro starts crying to Ren, but he doesn't care and leaves him. In the kitchen, Minato wants to prepare a special dish of poisonous blowfish for Aegea, but Benu stops her from doing so. While in the garden, Miyu discusses with Shinra about Aegea stealing Ren's first kiss and asks her to take action. At school, Ren is picking up Aegea but runs into Kojiro, who feels devastated that Aegea has changed. He asks Ren if anything happened, and Ren starts thinking about their kiss and starts tweaking. but he tells Kojiro that there is nothing to worry about and that he was just bending her over for training purposes. Kojiro feels relieved and thanks him for helping her train, while Ren feels guilty for lying to him. Then, Yumi and Uchiha show up and Kojiro asks Uchiha to come back home with him, but she refuses and prefers to go home with Ren. Later, they continue training and Uchiha pushes her badonkadonk to Ren's back to teach him how to punch. She then goes for another kiss, but Ren is trying to avoid her lips, and Natos feels jealous as she hasn't talked with Ren for a while. Uchiha tells Ren that she wants to taste his cooking, and he manages to burn everything he touches, so that even Salt Bay's cooking would look good in front of it. They all start eating and Benu starts cussing Ren out for his cooking, while Miyu sends a message to Shinra that they need to do something. At night, Minato drinks with Miyu to reduce their jealousy, while Uchiha calls Ren privately to her room, and she tempts him with her body for a midnight cardio session. She asks him to grab some Kama Sutra books and kiss her, but he pulls himself out and runs away, while Kojiro is stalking the mansion from the outside. In the morning, Uchiha punches Madara's asteroid as they continue their training. She tells Ren that he has improved and asks him to show his loyalty. Ren goes for the kiss, but starts remembering his other baby mamas and pulls back, but Uchiha kisses him anyway. Kojiro sees their kiss and starts burning out of anger and attacks Ren, but Ren counters. Then they activate their Haki and turn Super Saiyan, but Tajiri stops them both. Uchiha goes in and punches Ren and Kojiro is jealous as he wishes that it was him. Then Uchiha tells Kojiro that he is punished and she will stay with Ren. Kojiro challenges her that he can prove to be a better butler than Ren, Shinra, and the others, sees the chance and accepts the challenge. Their battle will be decided in 3 matches, and their first mission is who can fulfill their master's requests the most, and the staff acts as the master. First, Benu tells them to carry her luggage outside, and while Ren tries to fight her, Kojiro happily follows her order. Then Ren starts carrying the luggage, but his luggage is way heavier than Kojiro's, and he fires himself up to go faster, and after going back and forth, Ren wins the first match. Shinra and the others start booing Ren as they want him back with them, and for Uchiha to go home. In the second match, they have to act as servants, serving their master's request on a table, and at the start, Natos gives Ren a point, but quickly the other starts sabotaging Ren and helps Kojiro. Mihato drops her napkin and Kojiro catches it and injures himself in the process, but he gets the max point and wins the match. Kojiro stays down and Uchiha notices his injury, and they go to the final match, a trivia of their masters. The others start cheering for Kojiro, while Kojiro holds back his pain and tries to fight for his master, Uchiha, but collapses in the process. He still refuses to lose even after running away from the hospital for Uchiha's sake. Then Uchiha comes to him and tells him that she will go back as long as he goes back to the hospital, and Kojiro smiles after getting his master back. The next day, everything goes back to normal, and everyone asks Ren to serve them, treating him harshly. Meanwhile, Uchiha is watching over Kojiro at the hospital, but she still wants Ren's sausage. The following days, Mia notices that Ren has become reliable, and she asks him to join Nohado, and also be her personal butler. Then Ren starts wondering what exactly does Miyu do daily. In the morning, Miyu wakes up and washes her face while naked, and Nohado puts clothes on her while Ren looks away. While her other siblings leave the house for their own activities, Miyu stays at home to guard the house and just hangs out. Later, Ren helps Miyu take a bath before sleep, and Miyu feels that having a young boy serving her is nice. Then Ren goes to sleep and Mihato tucks him in and kisses him goodnight. The next day, they do the same thing as yesterday, ending with Ren baiting Miyu, but then she asks Ren to call Mihato over so they can all sleep together to strengthen their bond. On the bed, Miyu and Ren shares a pillow talk. While Mihato is asleep, then Miyu falls asleep naked, and Ren sees his chance to press her pink pepperoni. But Mihato catches him in the act and tells him to go and beat his meat alone instead. The next morning, Mia notices that Yumi is upset, and it turns out to be her homework. Miyu asks to look into it like a good sister, but Shinra comes in and ruins the mood and Yumi leaves sadly. Later, Ren serves Miyu coffee and continues their day doing yoga and some jobless activities. At night, Ren walks in to see De Niro making babies with a rice cooker and stops the nonsense. They get into a fight and De Niro steals his phone and runs away. That Mita shows up and starts chasing them around like a jobless degenerate. Ren and De Niro run upstairs, and suddenly De Niro runs out of battery and Ren charges his batteries and takes the hits from Miyu. De Niro starts thanking him and tells him that there is money that is transferred to Miyu just now. It confuses Ren as he never saw Miyu work before, and De Niro tells him that Miyu is Einstein and Tesla, combined, who owns multiple patents that made her money so she doesn't have to work anymore. Later, Yumi is sad that she failed to fill up her career form from school and tries to cope with it, while Ren and Miyu watch Shinra on Jimmy Fallon, where she is interviewed about her great father. Ren feels jealous that they have a great father and he doesn't. Later, Yumi and Miyu are playing video games when Shinra barges in as a party pooper and tells them to start thinking about their future. It angers Miyu, and she drops a bag of money that she made and runs away, and Shinra and her dumb head don't understand the reaction. Yumi tells Shinra that she wants to work part-time, but Shinra couldn't give a shit about her. Then they start imagining Miyu becoming a homeless delinquent who insults kids and is a menace to society. On the other hand, Benu imagines Miyu becoming a rock star who uses fat cucumbers to hump her groupies backstage. Shinra has enough and wants to scold her, but Ren stands up for Miyu and tells Shinra that Miyu is not some useless bitch who has no future. Then Shinra goes to her room and they make up. Later at dinner, Miyu says that she wants to be a restaurant owner who has a working ice cream machine for the happiness of the customers. And Yumi says that she wants to work part-time, but no one cares. Shinra starts hugging Miyu to touch her softies, while Yumi leaves the room alone, with only Natos paying her any attention. Yumi hides in her room, and Natos comes in to see her. Then Yumi starts crying for not getting any love from her siblings. At night, Yumi starts looking at her old family pictures where she feels loved by her family and starts crying, while Natos prays that she will protect Yumi's smile forever. Later, Natos advises Yumi to ask Shinra why she doesn't pay attention to her, and Yumi starts imagining where Shinra does show her attention, hugging and comforting her. And Yumi starts crying over her imagination. Then, Yumi grows a pair of balls and goes to Shinra's room. There, Shinra hugs Ren to fulfill her desire to hug her sisters. Then Yumi pops the question, and it touches Shinra's heart, and she starts hugging Yumi out of love. Shinra tells Yumi that she once told her something painful on the day of their parents' funeral. But Yumi doesn't remember anything, and it hurts Shinra's heart. Later at the garden, Ren tells Miyu about what happened, and Yumi feels discouraged about their relationship. But Ren motivates her that there's still hope, and she should remember what she said in the past. Shinra comes in and Yumi tries to apologize, but Shinra can't take her apology as long as she doesn't remember. Yumi feels deflated and runs away while Natos chases after her. Then Miyu tells Shinra to touch grass and grow up, but she refuses. And Ren wants to help their problem, but Benu warns him to stay out of it. In the mansion, Yumi hides in her room while Natos tries to cheer her up, and Natos starts feeling dejected as she can't help her master, Yumi, and Ren cheer up Natos by motorboating her melons. At dinner, Yumi is not present, and Natos finishes early and goes to Yumi's room to check on her. Natos opens the room and sees the room is empty. Realizing that Yumi ran away by herself, Natos tells the others and starts blaming herself for what happened. All the servants run out to look for her, but before that, Ren scolds Shinra for being a piece of shit and that she should treat her sister kinder as they are a family who lost their parents. Maina thanks Ren for his sentimental words and tells him to help the others look for Yumi while she handles Shinra. On the streets, Natos follows Yumi's scent like a dog and goes to the city. There, Yumi is all alone, and she sees a family having a warm dinner together. Then, Natos finds her and hugs her. Natos' stomach starts rumbling and Yumi buys her 10 dumplings to eat. Later, Yumi, Natos, and Ren enjoy the city's night scenery while eating dumplings, and Yumi wishes that she could talk more with her sister, while Natos enjoys the sight of stars. Then, Natos tells them that she used to have a family on a tropical island where a tsunami hit them, and Natos lost her eye and all of her family in the disaster. Meanwhile, Shinra is worried sick about them and starts stressing out, so she decides to try and fix things. Back in the city, Natos tells Yumi that her smile keeps her motivated all this time, and she starts encouraging Yumi to remember what she said to Shinra in the past. Yumi slowly remembers that she and her sisters were sad about their parents passing, and later she goes to meet Shinra, who didn't cry and called her a heartless robot who can't cry, and that hurt Shinra deeply. Shinra feels that it's her responsibility to be strong for her sisters, and that crying is for weak bitches, but Miyu tells her that Yumi felt that she lost both her parents and her loving older sister. Realizing what she said was cruel, Yumi doesn't want to meet Shinra, but Natos encourages her to tell Shinra how she feels before it's too late. Back in the mansion, Miyu feels conflicted as the middle child, and Mihato comforts her, as she knows how it feels to lose a parent, and Miyu remembers where Ren and Mihato came from. Suddenly, Yumi comes back and runs to Shinra, but Shinra slaps her for making her word and hugs her. Yumi starts crying and apologizes for what she said that hurt her, and they make up. Meanwhile, Chihara is still looking for Yumi after being forgotten by everybody, as no one gives a shit about him. Later, Yumi and Natos gaze at the stars, and Yumi thanks Natos for always encouraging her and asks to sleep with her like they used to. Later at the park, Chihara is enjoying his hard-earned milk when suddenly a football flies and knocks his milk to the ground. Then some bullies show up asking Chihara to pay for a new ball. But Benu pops up and tells those bullies to touch grass and cry to their fat mama, and the bullies runs away. Back in the mansion, Chihara tells that story to Ren, while they're both in the bathroom, and Chihara invites him to bathe together so he can jiggle his balls. Hearing his proposal, Ren runs away half-naked and Benu kicks him in the jewels for being a creep. Then Ren receives a letter from Aegea telling him that she will join the flower festival. Ren looks at Chihara and sees that he's higher than a kite and realizes that Chihara has something on his mind. Suddenly, Anastasia pops up and teases him that she knows what Chihara is thinking. Ren asks her what it is, but she starts barking and asks him to breed her like a dog. She then says that Chihara is in love with someone in the mansion. Later, Chihara goes to Yumi's room and sees that Ren and Natos are already there as they figure out that he is in love and support him. Then, they ask him who it is that he loves, and they all start feeling confident it's one of them. But it turns out to be Benu, and they are all in disbelief as Chihara would likely be the bottom of the relationship. Then, they start giving him ideas on what to do to win her heart, and after a few weird discussions, Chihara invites Benu to a baseball game which she loves. She asks him why didn't he invite someone else, and Chihara is about to confess, but is cucked by the announcers. Later, Benu tells Chihara that she has a minor crush on Ren, and Chihara keeps a strong face hearing it. Later in the mansion, Chihara tells Ren that he is giving up. Then Benu walks in and shows her closeness with Ren, but Chihara keeps a strong face seeing it. Later in the flower festival, they all gather and Aegea starts drinking a whole keg of alcohol while the others enjoy their food. Then, Mia feels an inspiration to write her love for men's underwear under the sakura tree. Then, to lighten up the mood, Natos starts her impression of an American. But the audience thinks that her impression stinks, so Benu runs to the stage to compete and starts singing Justin Bieber, deafening everyone in the park and their ancestors. Then a drunk Shinra takes Mia with her and performs a cosplay show, showing different outfits including a Walmart Fate Stay Night costume. Next, Aegea creates a sculpture of Kojiro using her legs and destroys it afterward. Then Kojiro uses a move from Yu Yu Hakusho as they have the same voice actor. But Aegea stops him and instead turns him into a Beyblade that spins on her umbrella. Suddenly, a woman screams as someone stole her purse, and they all start pursuing the thieves. De Niro launches rockets toward one of them, while Ren and Kojiro team up to knock out another. But Tajiri uses his charms and takes the last thief with him to the public bathroom and gives him the prison treatment until he can't walk anymore. The crowd cheers for them and they make the newspaper. Later, they all go back home, and Ren is happy that he and Mihato get to have a place that they can call home. Meanwhile, their father sees their face in the newspaper and is up to no good. Deep in a forest, Shinra takes off her socks to go for a swim in the river and teases Ren to sniff her socks, which he will gladly do. Ren asks Tajiri if the forest belongs to the Kwanji family, and he says yes. Then, Shinra invites Ren into the river to swim with her. Later, Miyu is tanning under the sun, while Natos plays catch with Tajiri using a Dragon Ball beam, and Ren remembers when he played catch with his dad, and his father is getting closer to them. In her room, Shinra is playing with Benu's melons on her bed. Then Ren tells Shinra that Miyu is sweating heavily and her armpits stink, and Shinra quickly goes to Miyu and starts touching her. Before Shinra leaves for practice, she invites Ren to her room after dinner. Later at night, Ren joins Shinra in her room and pours her alcohol. Shinra starts remembering when they first met and praises Ren for being able to become a stud of a butler. Then Ren tells Shinra that he feels unworthy of her praises. Ren starts talking about his abusive father and how his ability to be a butler comes from him wanting to impress his father by serving him, but Shinra tells him he's wrong, and that his ability comes from kindness. Ren starts tearing up and promises her that he will serve her from the bottom of his heart. The next day, Shinra announces to her sisters that Ren will be her personal butler for the time being. The other sisters start arguing, but Miyu realizes that Shinra needs Ren as she needs to prepare for her concert. Afterward, Ren accompanies Shinra for her multiple activities from rehearsals to a charity party. After they finish, they get into a car to go back home and Ren asks Shinra about her mentor, but she starts sleeping on his shoulder before she says anything. Back in the mansion, Yumi and Miyu are playing video games when Shinra comes in and starts caressing them and smelling their sweat to recharge her energy, while Mihado praises Ren for his hard work, and they watch over the sisters. Later, Shinra is studying music sheets in her room when Ren walks in and brings her some midnight snack. Then Shinra tells him that he can rest before her big day. The next day, the concert starts with Shinra as its conductor, and amazes the audience with her performance. Then she meets her mentor backstage, and he tells Shinra that she was better when she was a student, and Ren starts cussing him out, calling him an old stinky cheese. Later, Shinra starts doubting herself and pushes people away. Then Ren enters her room and asks her out on a date to get a change of scenery to warm her heart. Shinra remembers her old self having love for the music and accepts Ren's offer. The next day, they go on their date with Shinra wearing a disguise recommended by Yumi. They go and get themselves a panda doll from a lottery that is secretly controlled by Tajiri and eat ice cream where Tajiri is secretly watching their date. Later, they play in an arcade where Shinra psychotically plays a shooting game, gaining people's attention. Ren quickly pulls her away to a photo booth where they take their future wedding photo. After the photo booth, people notice who Shinra is and ask her to have their babies. Afterward, Shinra starts remembering her time in college where she enjoys the music, and she thanks Ren for the date. But Ren tells her that he doesn't want to go home yet and that they should enjoy their date more. Then, Ren puts his blazer around her and starts rizzing her, telling her that he always looked up to her like a shining star and that the real Shinra is even better in person as someone who can handle the world's pressure. Suddenly, Shinra gets angry at Ren and tells him that she doesn't feel pressure and that he has crossed the line between a butler and a master. Shinra calls Tajiri to pick her up, and she leaves Ren alone, high and dry. Meanwhile, Mihado is jealous that Shinra gets to taste her brother's willy and not her. On his way back, Ren hears his father's voice, and he sees him in front of him. Ren tells him to leave them alone, but he refuses and tells Ren that he has no right to be happy as his birth caused the death of his mother. The next day, Ren goes to Shinra's room to wake her up. Ren sees her father's picture, and it reminds him of his own father. Suddenly, he spills drinks on her music sheet. Later, Shinra fires Ren from his job for spilling on her music sheets, and she leaves for her concert. Then Mihado asks him what happened, and he remembers his meeting with his father, who tells him that Ren is as abusive as he is and asks him to bring Mihado and come back home to him. Ren refuses her offer, and he threatens that he will show up at the Kwanji residence and stay with them instead. He gives Ren time and tells him to contact him later. Ren tells Mihado that nothing happened and tries to run away, but Miyu tells him that she will not let him get fired. Meanwhile, Shinra continues her rehearsal and her mentor is still not impressed by her lack of heart. Later, Shinra arrives home and Yumi tries to convince her to not fire Ren but fails. Then, Miyu comes and tries to do the same using her naked body to entice Shinra, but it also fails. Miyu tells Shinra that she sees Ren as family and that she should open up more. Then, Shinra looks at the photo she took with Ren and remembers their date together. Then, she laughs at what angers her in the first place. The next day, Shinra announces that she will put Ren's firing on hold, and they all start celebrating their success in overturning Shinra's decision. Later at night, he starts thinking of calling his father, but then Shinra rings her bell and Ren comes to her aid. Shinra apologizes to him for what happened and notices that Ren is distraught about something. She demands him to be honest and tell her what is on his mind, but he refuses as he doesn't want to burden her with his problems. And Shinra tells him to go and wishes that he was honest. The next day, Ren is determined to solve his issues with his father, but his father shows up out of nowhere and they go somewhere more private, while Benu and Shiharu are spying on them, and suddenly Shinra pops up behind them. Later, Ren asks his father to go home and leave them alone, but he refuses and starts beating Ren up while Shinra and the others watch. Benu comes and encourages him to fight back, but she sees him crying in his most vulnerable state, and his father tells him to bring Mihado over, and they will go home together. Shinra encourages Ren to grow above his father's hatred and demands his promise to stay loyal to her to be fulfilled. The father tries to cuss Shinra out, but Benu has enough and punches him, but he punches her back harder. The father tries to attack Shinra, but Ren catches his father's attack and rises above him. Ren is about to deliver the final blow, but Shinra stops him and Ren tells his father that he is now his own man. Ren goes to Shinra and kisses her hand as a sign of his loyalty. Shinra tells the father that she is Ren's mommy now, and that Ren is a part of her family. Suddenly, everyone shows up to help him as they all care for him, and Benu starts beating the living shit out of the father. Then, Shinra goes to her concert with Ren, while Mihato talks to her father and asks him to stop using violence, but he refuses. Then, Miyu orders De Niro to obliterate him, and he electrocutes and shoots missiles at him, but suddenly he randomly goes back to normal and continues talking to Mihato. Suddenly, Mihato tells him that he can see them again if he just becomes a decent father and stops his abuse. Later in the rehearsal, Shinra follows her heart and changes the music into something more heartful. Then she performs her orchestra with grace and an open heart, while her mentor watches with amazement and the crowd goes wild. After the concert, Ren is about to congratulate her, but Shinra jumps and kisses him on the lips as his reward for opening her heart, and Ren collapses to the floor. The next day, Ren accidentally sees Benu naked in the bathroom, but behind her is Natos, who just went a few rounds with her, and she explodes, kicking Ren out of the bathroom. Mihato tells Ren that he should ask her if he wants his sausage sucked, and Benu throws a bucket at him, but it hits Chihiro instead. Then, Miyu tells Ren to dance using skimpy outfits as she drools at him, but he runs away. In the dining room, Shinra and Yumi also want a piece of his carrot, and Miyu tells him to choose. But suddenly Aja shows up from a helicopter and jumps with a parachute to put her hoo-ha in his face. Then the masters fight over who gets to ride Ren's meat stick, and Ren smiles as he will get some action that night. Later, Ren, Mihato, and their sobered father visit their mother's grave with Shinra accompanying them, and afterward Ren, Mihato, and their newfound family spend more time together and immortalize it in pictures. If you watched this anime recap until the end, comment Butlers lays the best pipe in their masters. If you like anime recaps like this, watch this video.